Going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Download. What's up? How are you doing? Again, this is the Weekly Download. My name is Mitchel Dumlao, and this is the Video Content School's weekly report, my weekly download. Basically, today I'm going to be talking about the top 3 ways to get into your flow state so you can overcome any creative blocks. These are a great topic for anyone out there who is starting a creative project and you're trying to come up with some ideas, or you're in the middle of a project and you have a creative block. These methods and these techniques I've learned through my own experience, but also from interviewing over 100 people from my podcast, The Creative Haven, on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts too. And I've been able to interview so many creative professionals and artists and musicians and even marketers and advertisers, entrepreneurs, you name it. And we've all come up with these 3 top consistent techniques that will help you overcome any creative blocks and get into your flow state. Now, the first thing you got to think about when it comes to overcoming any, creative blocks and getting into your flow state is really clearing your mind. I think the biggest thing for me is to really make sure that you are in a place where you have the intention of creating and you're not thinking about other things without any distractions, which is we're talking about in the environment technique. But what I want to talk about is that if you're trying to get into a really creative flow state, you want to clear your mind. You want to make sure that what's in your mind is purely for your intention of creating or coming up with the idea or working on your idea, and that you have your full strength and focus and power on your task at hand. Okay, so you don't have Facebook on, you don't have a podcast playing, you don't have things going on in the background or whatnot that's distracting you. It's really all about making sure that your mind is clear. Now, you can also do other things as well if your mind is too jumbled and you can't come up with the idea. So let's say you clear your mind and you're ready to go in and you're creating and you have your intention, but you're 15 minutes in, you start getting distracted, you hit a creative block and you don't know what to do next. A lot of people that I've talked to, even myself, they meditate. And meditate doesn't mean you have to cross your legs, light an incense, and then say 5 times. It can be just having the intention of clearing your mind with your eyes closed and practicing breath work. A lot of people, when they create and they get stressed, they don't have many breaths or they don't take deep breaths while they're stressed. And so it's all about using your breath to help you bring in more oxygen, open up your brain, give you more, oxygen in your blood cells, and allow yourself to actually have more time to slow down and think about the task at hand. Now, you can either meditate and think about what you need to get done, or you can meditate and focus on your breath so you can clear your mind, clear out the clutter, and start from scratch. Because after you're done with that, then you can have a moment in your meditation or wake up from your meditation where your mind is clear and you can look at the task you need to do or the idea that you're working on or the idea that you need to create, and you can now do it from a fresh start. Okay. Another way you can, clear your mind is to do mundane tasks. Have you ever gotten an idea pop into your mind or a solution to a problem pop into your mind while you're driving or taking a shower? It's usually because we've gone away from thinking about our problem or our creative block, and doing something else has allowed us to fill our mind with white noise in order for us to actually, again, refresh our mind, start from scratch, and actually come up with new ideas and solutions. And that's why it's all about making sure you don't get stuck just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if you're a writer, if you are finding, that it's hard to come up with an idea at your computer, writing more at your computer at a writer's block is not going to help. I'm telling you right now, I've interviewed so many different types of creative professionals. This is a really great technique. Go do the dishes, go, clean your room, even, work on a puzzle, whatever it is, do something that's mundane, that's some kind of physical activity, because it's going to help you actually stop thinking about the problem or the creative block that you experience, and your mind and your brain starts coming up with solutions and ideas out of nowhere. And it's just something that happens when you clear your mind and you're not thinking about your problem or your idea or what you need to do so much. Okay. Now, the next thing you can do, or next technique, is actually movement. A lot of the creative professionals that I've interviewed on my podcast a lot of them have talked about how movement, exercise, being outside, being in fresh air, and just getting off your chair and walking around has really helped them come up with ideas as well as fight creative and writer's blocks. I think it was Steve Jobs, or it may have been yeah, it was Steve Jobs or whatnot, who was they walk around. Okay, there's a lot of people out there who take walks in the midday or during the lunchtime or walks in general because it really helps you clear your mind again, but also get your body moving, get your blood flowing so you're not sitting in the same place and being very stagnant. Once you start moving around and you get fresh air, especially outside, it allows your brain to actually get more oxygen, get more blood flowing into your brain. And at the same time, your eyes are out there outside of a screen. So let's say you're someone who is on a computer, like a video editor or a graphic designer, being outside, having your eyes fixated on nature or things outside that aren't digital, aren't blue light, allows you to wake up a little bit. And if you start walking and moving around a little bit more, your heart rate starts to flow, and then all of a sudden your blood is rushing through your bodies, and you start getting more energy in your brain. It gets more stimulated. Another thing that you can do movement-wise, of course, is exercise. So I know some folks, even myself, whenever I have a creative block or I want to jumpstart my morning, I do exercise, whether it's 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 air squats, or it's going to the gym, doing a kettlebell workout, doing a HIIT workout, hitting the row bike or the row machine, hitting the bike or the Peloton, whatever it is. It's very helpful to have some movement or some exercise to get the blood flowing. That's why you see a lot of people with these treadmill, laptop, computer desks, and it really helps them get their creative juices flowing as well. And of course, there's other types of movement you can do. What I like to do sometimes, I know it's kind of goofy, it's just dance. So if I feel like I need to get my mind going, if I'm getting a little tired, if I feel like I need to take a nap, or if I feel like I hit some kind of block, I'll turn on some really good house music, Defected Records mix, or some K-Tronada, and I just seriously get up and I just start dancing and just move my feet, move around, and I just focus on the music and how great the music is. From that point of view, then I'm taking my mind again off of the main problem or the creative block, and I'm immersing myself in music, and also I'm dancing. So I'm getting some blood flowing in my body. I'm stretching. I'm not so tense, and it really loosens up your body. So that actually brings me to my next point, third and final point, is establishing your creative workspace. So there's a lot of different philosophies behind this, and a lot of people have different ways of how they situate their creative workspace. There's people like myself who likes a clean workspace, so no clutter. It's very much just the tools that I need to create or handle or solve the problem that I need to get done. Or honestly, there's some people who like to have a lot of different types of motivational, posters and pictures. Some people I know I like to have toys around, plants, and like to be stimulated creatively or visually to get the creative juices flowing, right? And there's some people who also like to have the TV or the music playing in the background or whatnot. Your creative environment, it really just depends on how you like to work. I'm not the type of person who likes to say, just do this because it's my way or the highway. And everybody's body is different, okay? I used to be vegan. I thought it was the only way that humans should eat. Then after a while, I realized it wasn't for me. And for me, and personally, it's good for me to eat meat. It's the same thing with a lot of these productivity techniques and methods and frameworks. Some of them won't work for you. Sometimes a clear, uncluttered desk may not work for you. You might get bored. Maybe you need to have some clutter. Maybe you need to have some motivational pictures or some, let's say, a small fountain or some plants. Whatever it is, figure out what kind of workspace is going to help you be more creative, all right? And at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what do you need to do to your workspace so that you can feel comfortable and safe in so you can be more vulnerable, all right? So there are some people who like to go out to cafes, of course, and work at Starbucks and get it done. And if you feel like that's a place where you can be yourself and be vulnerable or just get into the flow state, awesome. If you're a dancer and you need to be in a private place so that you can come up with your next routine and then, figure out, these moves, then maybe you want to be more quiet in a much enclosed space by yourself in front of a mirror with music playing and nothing else on your schedule. Whatever it is, your environment really depends on you. How I like to do it, again, uncluttered workspace. I only want to have my computer, my headphones, and I want to have some sort of music playing in the background, whether it's lo-fi, it's house music, depending on my mood during that time. But that's how I like to work. At the same time, my environment can be a WeWork. I like going to my WeWork, a co-work space, so I can be around other folks and feel that energy. I have a really great view of Austin, Texas from my WeWork, and I have my tea and my coffee and phone booths, and I have a lot of different types of amenities at my WeWork. So when I feel like I need to go there, I'll go there. If I feel I need to work from home, I work from home. If I'm traveling, I need to go to the cafe, I'll go to the cafe. Whatever it is, know what you need to do in your environment when you're there so you can get into your personal safe space, right? If it's putting on your headphones in a cafe, if it's, putting on some music at home, or if it's going to a booth or a little, area away from people at a co-working space. Whatever it is, figure out what environment works for you to get the most energy and creativity out of you, and then how to situate yourself in those environments so you can feel safe and vulnerable so you can create the masterpiece or overcome that creative block that you have. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Again, this was really to help anyone out there who is experiencing writer's block or creative blocks, or is trying to come up with some creative ideas, whether it's for a film, for photography, for dance, or even for a company. I think all of this really stems from my interviews with today's top professionals on my podcast, Creative Haven, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And when I've talked to a lot of these folks, my one consistent question has been, how do you get into your flow state? And the reason why I wanted to ask that is because I do believe that a lot of creative people and also entrepreneurs and people who are outside of business and creativity want to know how to get to a place where they can feel the most productive, energized, creative, and in that moment can produce the best work. I really truly believe that once people can figure out how to get into their flow state, we'll get better companies, better products, amazing ideas, solve some of the world's biggest problems. At the end of the day, also become just great people and the best versions of ourselves. That's my spiel and why I want to really study flow state. So today you just learned some amazing techniques to get into your flow state. So if you loved it, please like, comment, and share this with anyone you think would find this helpful. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to ask me any questions that you have by leaving a comment below or sending me an email at mitchel@videcontentschool.com. And if you want me to talk about anything else, let me know as well. I'm just thinking about off the top of my head about what I feel like I would want to learn 10 years ago, asking friends as well, and also looking online for top topics. But if you have anything else you want me to talk about, please let me know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week. How are you doing? Again, this is the weekly download. My name is Mitchel Dumlao, and this is the Video Content School's weekly report, my weekly download. Basically, today I'm going to be talking about the top 3 ways to get into your flow state so you can overcome any creative blocks. This is a great topic for anyone out there who is starting a creative project and you're trying to come up with some ideas, or you're in the middle of a project and you have a creative block. These methods and these techniques I've learned through my own experience, but also from interviewing over 100 people from my podcast, The Creative Haven, on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts too. And I've been able to interview so many creative professionals and artists and musicians and even marketers and advertisers, entrepreneurs, you name it. And we've all come up with these 3 top consistent techniques that will help you overcome any creative blocks and get into your flow state. Now, the first thing you got to think about when it comes to overcoming any, creative blocks and getting into your flow state is really clearing your mind. I think the biggest thing for me is to really make sure that you are in a place where you have the intention of creating and you're not thinking about other things without any distractions, which is we're talking about in the environment technique. But, what I want to talk about is that if you're trying to get into a really creative flow state, you want to clear your mind. You want to make sure that what's in your mind is purely for your intention of creating or coming up with the idea or working on your idea, and that you have your full strength and focus and power on your task at hand.